blessed and honored to be a part of this day, the Menstrual Day, and undoing the taboo. And then, of course, I thank the panelists because they have shed a lot of light. But also I'm here just to tickle our minds with questions that will challenge us. And also under the theme, climatic injustice, okay, with menstrual health. So I just came to marry a little bit about that, but then just forward certain questions for all of us, most especially the young generation, to be able to ask ourselves beyond being victims. So I want us to live when we are victors and not victims of something that we called life. I remember Barbara mentioned so well that blood, that thread is powerful. And meaning in the cycle of life, if we are the carriers of that thread, so it means we carry so much power. And so we are not meant to look at it from a victim mentality. And I think it is to help the young generation that it's an empowerment season, okay, for all of us, and such a grand opportunity. Okay, so I'll bore you with a little bit of mathematics, okay? And of course, when we talk about climatic injustice, how do we also produce sanitary towels that are biodegradable and are less synthetic? Remember, plastic is one element that is not good for the environment. It takes very long to be broken down. It goes into our water resources. And also we have to ask ourselves, all this if we don't have good incinerations, because apart from school, where I remember I used an incinerator, I have not moved to any area. Sorry to say, I must also say that I'm a culprit. Not even my workplace do you find an incinerator, where our places of work, we don't have disposable ways on how to manage this waste, okay? And so what happens, it goes into our environment, it's taken up by Mother Earth, and then we end up destroying our own environment. So I could just take a little mathematics, and I think it can go to every company, organization, and every school. I took just an example from my own workplace, okay? If, for instance, I employ 100 women, okay? Who are the mathematicians here? So we are back to mathematics. So if I employ 100 women who menstruate in a year, that's 12 months, okay? So how many times are they menstruating? I will not bore you because I got the answers. They are menstruating 1,200 times, okay? So keep with me. And each month, we said, averagely we menstruate, I think 4 days. Some people take 3, other people take 4. So each day those are 3 pads, okay? So I'm going into the business acumen too, but with menstruation. So that's why we need to be empowered and think from an innovative space and overcome the stigma, okay? And so 3 pads per day, those are 12 pads for the 4 days, okay? So I went in and said 12 pads times 100 women a month. That is 1,200 pads a month, okay? And then I went in and said 1,200 pads a month times 12 months. That's 14,400 pads. What does this mean? This is $1 billion industry. But how is it impacting the climate? Are we thinking about it? For instance, this is just one company, 14,400 pads impacting the climate. But also because most of them are synthetic. And of course, they also affect our menstrual hygiene. So that's one question to also take to advocacy and the government. Because perhaps if we can come up with innovative ideas to produce biodegradable sanitary towels, and this is to you, the young generation, because some of us are 40 and above, it means most likely we are getting to the end. But remember, some of the companies that have been making these pads, the founders are no longer menstruating, but they are still benefiting on a synthetic product that is also affecting our own health, okay? So what does that mean for us? We come from the place of stigma, we empower because we carry life itself, and say, how can this impact us socially and economically? We talked about the MasterCard Foundation that gives such opportunities. So the opportunities are available for us young people, and it cuts across genders. It cuts across the male and the female. So also the other question I just want to pose, how do we support the innovators like SafePad who come up with the safer usage of these pads? And then also, how do we find a win-win situation that perhaps we don't want to be like we are fighting against those that also innovated the synthetic pad, but how can we work together as an ecosystem to make our climate a better place, okay? And our environment a better place for our generations to come. So these are the questions that we must, I believe, ask ourselves. And of course, being a woman, being a mother, and supporting many young women that also are mothers, imagine I just took a sample that was just my direct employee, but this employee has daughters, this employee has sisters, this employee perhaps has so many other people that are women that are still using the synthetic pad that goes into our climate, and so it's the climate that ends up being the victim. Because for us, we are carriers of life, but how are we handling this life? And also in the innovation place, I found out a lady in Kenya, Mary Nyarai. You wonder, how can we support a Mary that uses biodegradable agriculture waste? Have we thought about it? Then also let's think about the experience of the reusable pad. In most cases, when we are marketing the reusable pad, we are marketing it as a marginalized pad, going to the poor communities. No, I think we should change the narrative. How can we bring a buy-in to the middle class? Because the middle class, apparently, we say, they can afford, and it's convenient use. So what are we talking about? If it's convenient for somebody to use the synthetic pad, and when you tell them use the reusable, they have to look at this blood and, soak it, wash it. Everybody these days says there's no time. How can we look at somebody like Nyarai? And I think this goes to theory of SafePad. How do we make a better experience that perhaps if we looked into biodegradable, and we are an agriculture sector. How much maize leaves and all maize fiber do we leave in the gardens? We eat pineapples. How many pineapple leaves are left to waste in the garden? Yes, the earth needs it, but also we can take advantage. And perhaps if they are to tax, it's okay if they can tax the synthetics to decrease them in the economy. But then, maybe for those that manufacture the biodegradable, I think this goes to the Honorable, I think he's here, all MasterCard, all any advocacy. How can we promote the biodegradable and tax the synthetic? But in conclusion, those were only just questions that I am posing. What am I saying? In conclusion, the power is in our hands. If each one of us stopped buying a synthetic pad, that is a voice, a powerful voice, because whoever is making what is degrading the climate is being empowered by me, is being empowered by you, okay? So if all you children said, no more synthetic, what does it do? I'm concluding. What does it do for the government? It begins looking at the nyarais that have gone to agriculture, biodegradable waste to make a pad that can get into the environment and that the Mother Earth can reuse it also to keep benefiting us. But what is the answer? The answer is love. If all of us can go back to who the author of this life, the menstrual cycle, who is God, the God of love, and we are not selfish. And these people that, maybe the companies that manufacture synthetics, can also think about it and say, for the love of our Mother Earth, and the love of our children, and the love of the next generation, how can we support all those that are manufacturing the reusables and also the biodegradables, and we make this world a better place? Those are questions, and I hope they are things that we shall open up conversations about. I want to thank you so much.